Hey, everybody. I'm Gary McLean, and you are watching Talent Talk. Just a reminder that if you haven't done so already, please do go to the Talent Talk YouTube channel and subscribe today. Your support is always appreciated. And also, just another reminder that this is a live and interactive show. So, if you have any comments or questions to the guest or to myself, feel free to drop them into the comments section and we will try to address them as the show goes on. Now, today's guest. He is an award winning film producer, podcast host, entrepreneur, and improv guru, to just name a handful of things. For 4 seasons now, he has been hosting the podcast Rebel Rebel, which has nominations in the Canadian Podcast Awards for the last 3 years. Rebel Rebel chats weekly with creators, innovators, entrepreneurs from around the globe. And since that doesn't really seem to fill his day, he also delves into improv teaching and performing at Loose Moose Theatre, producing short films and skits with his partner Jen McLean as Drop Bear of Drop Bear and Panda, and MC's various events. I really have no idea how this guy sleeps or if he even does. I'm hoping it's not during the show. That's all I'm asking. So before he does, please join me in welcoming Michael Dean Dargie. Good
Hello.
day.
How's it going? Okay, let's just. I need to back up 1 second. Improv guru? No, not a
No,
guru. Not a guru. My God,
I was
no.
misled.
Yeah, I don't know
What's
who you're talking to, but obviously I paid them handsomely for that.
well, whatever, it
Yeah.
works. It gets it out there.
Hey,
It's
I'll
all
take
good.
it. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Hey, thank you so much for having me on the show. This is great.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic to have you on. And you and I talked about this previously, but technically, you're actually the first returning guest.
What? Yeah.
Um, yes, like I've had guests come back as hosts,
Yeah.
but never an actual return guest. So
Wow.
you're the
How fun is
first,
this?
right?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, and you were like the Christmas special back in
That's
the
yeah, like
season
way
one.
back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day,
Way back in the day when we could actually do it in person and stuff.
right? Oh,
Yeah.
I miss those days, to be honest. I'm hoping they
Yeah.
can come back, but
Soon.
we'll give it time.
Yeah. What's going on?
Not much, not much. Since we're actually here, and I gave my little spiel
Mhm.
for whatever it was worth.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give a bit more of a spiel of who you are, where you came from.
Oh
Did
my
you
god.
come from, some hovel in some desolate land, or where are you from?
I did come from a hovel in a desolate land. Uh, I'm going to give you this story that I don't think has ever been recorded.
Oh,
This
nice,
could be like
perfect.
this could be an exclusive. I grew up just outside of Toronto, in a little town called Pickering, Ontario, and um, we grew up on Duffins Creek, which is this little bit of river that winds its way through there. It was made famous by having gangsters dumped into it wearing concrete shoes
Ooh,
in the 70s. Um, yeah, and anyway, I moved here when I was 10. Moved to Calgary when I was 10 years old, and I my dad got us a TRS 80 computer, which is the very first personal computer back in 1979, I guess it would be. And I taught myself how to program music and graphics using BASIC back when I was 10, 11 years old.
wow.
And yeah, because I wanted to learn how to, I wanted to be able to create stuff. And I guess that's kind of what I've always done. It was around that time actually that my dad took my sister and I to Loose Moose Theater. It was up on McKnight Boulevard at that time. That would be like 1980, I guess, 80, 81. And I fell in love with theater sports, and we were probably too young to be going to to those shows. But I took classes there. I never got on stage until about 6, 7 years ago, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I moved back up to Calgary. Yeah, and I guess long story short is I had kids when I was 22, so started young, and I've been a motorcycle instructor, and I've taught everything from graphics to 3D animation to Premiere and film stuff. I wrote the new media curriculum for the Calgary Board of Education when I was at New Horizons Computer Learning Center. I got I worked for Applied Multimedia, where I ran the multimedia labs there and the classical and digital animation labs. We had like experts working there, doing the actual animation stuff. I just helped sort of facilitate all that. And then I
Right.
worked for, I was communications director for a multinational kind of market research company where I got to work with, Starbucks and Home Depot and really big brands to, um, they were trying to measure their customer experience. So I helped, basically sell those accounts and work with them to make their stuff look good.
Uh,
Then
and was most of that like digital or?
yeah, it was all digital. And sort of during that time did some film stuff, like early film stuff, uh film stuff that maybe Brendan Hunter doesn't want to have us see the light of day. And
Have
you
to
know
break those out later.
yeah. I found actually all the tapes a while back when I was unpacking. um but yeah, and then what, then I left. Had a contract to do some design work. I was in the communications faculty at Mount Royal for a bit, and then I started my own firm, and I've just been doing basically branding and design work, helping companies find, shape, and share their stories with the rest of the world. And end to end stuff. So from design, figuring out what their brand is and how they, exist in the world, to how they speak and walk and talk. And we've shot a couple commercials and that
Okay.
sort of thing. So that's the nutshell. That's what I do on the day
And
to day.
and is that through Make More Creative that you're kind of doing that?
Yeah, Make More Creative is kind of the umbrella thing. The official name is MDNA Inc. So Michael Dargie and Associates Inc. But it's Make More Creative is the brand, and that's what we do. Um, yeah, it keeps me busy. But it's so much fun. I enjoy every single day.
And is most of what you're doing right now, is it more on the corporate level, or are you doing also kind of narrative stuff as well? And
Right now, mostly. Well, I guess mostly corporate. I don't know. It's a blend because I'm doing a bunch of projects with Loose Moose. So right now we're just finishing up. I just finished the rough cut of episode 12 of the Petting Zoo Blues that artistic director Dennis Cahill wrote, and it's ridiculous. It has consumed an awful lot of time, but it's been worth it. The premise is it's an episodic puppet tragedy in the vein of Romeo and Juliet, except it's two competing petting zoos, and it's horrible.
it's
There's
horrible.
violence, there's swearing, there's inappropriate behavior between puppets. It's everything that you want a puppet show to be.
Right? Definitely geared towards the adult side of the
Oh, it
the,
is
the
not for
spectrum.
kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't share at work kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you can, if you want to check it out. I think I just released episode 10 today, 11 tomorrow, 12 on Friday, and we've done this over the last 4 weeks on the what I call the what the fuck or WTF Wednesday, Thursday, Friday release schedule.
And where can they find that? Like, is it on
Oh,
the?
loosemoose.tv.
And you know what? That's the one banner I haven't put up yet.
Oh,
So loosemoose.tv.
yeah,
Remember that,
loosemoose.tv.
folks. We'll just keep
Yeah.
repeating that for about 5 minutes since we don't have the streamer up.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So Dave Ware, at the beginning of the pandemic, one of the company members, Dave Ware, came up with a show called the Department of Moose Information. We started doing online shows early in the pandemic, and then we did another show called Leave It to Cleaver for Halloween, which was sort of a found footage, shot with stationary security cameras. So that was fun to put together. Then we did the Christmas Carol. There's a poster somewhere there
Oh, yeah.
on the
Okay.
back wall. So we every year we do a Christmas Carol in a different genre. And this year, because we couldn't have people in the theater, we did it as a silent film that we found from 1919 in the original pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
yeah.
That'd be
It's
well.
it's right now doing the festival circuit, so we put it into a bunch of festivals. We'll see if people think it's as fun as we think it is.
Sounds fun to me. I like the idea personally, but yeah. Going back to Loose Moose a little bit, maybe you can tell us a little bit about what you actually do there. Like, I in the intro I kind of said that you taught some improv there. Is that
Oh,
accurate?
Well, I mean, no, I don't teach there. And I got to be really clear here because, in the grand scheme of things, I'm very junior in the loose moose world. I mean, 7 years is not a lot of time in. I do teach. I've taught adults. I've taught seniors. I've taught kids and high school students outside of loose moose theater. But I'm not one of loose moose's official instructors.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my I volunteer there, whatever they need. I'm happy to do when we're running shows. I like to be on stage performing when I can. And I've yet to win a maestro. I can't wait to go back and try to win that $5. Um, we'll see. I've hosted, God, I think maybe 4 or 5 of the high school theater sports tournaments. I've been the commentator for those shows. So
Okay.
it's whatever they need really is. And lately it's been producing and editing really silly films.
Okay. And have you you've obviously done a little bit of performing there.
Mhm.
Do you what would you say is the most difficult part of improv for you?
Uh, Getting out of your head, I think I think a lot of people would say that you tend to overthink things a little bit. So it's really important to figure out how to, you know, get out of your way, get out of your own way. And, a lot of, I think what Dennis teaches and what Keith, taught in the beginning is to, not put too much pressure on yourself. We've got all these tools that allow us to fail gracefully on stage and, try not to worry about fucking up because you're gonna. But I think that's probably the hardest thing. Like I started doing stand up about 2 years ago, and I haven't done many shows, like maybe a dozen. And I find stand up more scary than improv. The
Well, I mean, I guess there's prep on both sides a little bit, but you can prep a lot more, I think, with stand up. Can you not?
You can, yeah. And I think the challenge that I find with the stand up is that it's short. It's 5 minutes. It's a tight five, right? That's and then you get the light or you get the hook.
Right.
you know, and I can talk for days. So I find that I find that really challenging. Sometimes I dance around a point or dance around a story until, I finally find the point. And you can't do that in stand up.
Right. You just got to have your succinct
Yeah.
one
And
liners or whatever the case is and
yeah, and in improv, I mean, usually you're up there with somebody else, and
to feed
you're
off of. And
yeah, or to
yeah.
play with, and that's kind of the fun. That's the joy of it. Kids shows at Loose Moose too are great. I think I've done 15 kids shows there,
Okay.
maybe. Um, Sounds like a lot, but I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Like I miss those a lot. We were just getting into Sherlock Junior when I was coming back from Maui last March. Rehearsals had started for Sherlock Junior, which would have been the last kid show of that season. And I was in it, and I hadn't been to a rehearsal yet. And then we landed and went right into quarantine, and you know, so I think anybody that's ever been in a Loose Moose Kids show misses them because they're pretty special.
Right. Oh, there you go. Right.
Yeah,
We were just talking about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fair enough. Whatever.
No,
No.
no,
No.
awesome. No,
Fair enough. No. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, folks. Inside joke.
yeah. And now you're on the inside.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, when it comes to the branding side of things, that seems to be where a lot of your experience kind of comes from is the actual media
Yep.
branding. Um, is like, do you spend a lot of time kind of coaching or teaching on both sides, the film side and the corporate side, or do you have a main focus on that? Or
That's an interesting question. The branding thing is it's kind of an all-encompassing thing. It's we all right. Let me
Stumped
back
you.
up. Yeah. All right. Well, we just did a huge thing at C Space. So my studio here is at C Space King Edward, and we just had a artists incubator run for, gosh, was it 5 weeks? I think 5 or 6 weeks just recently, and I worked with 12 different artists to help them find their brand and uncover it and help them share it with the world so they can get more business or get more bums and seats or sell more paintings or do stuff. So there's that side of what I do for branding. Predominantly, what I do with branding is I help companies figure out who they are and what their voice is. Branding is kind of like creating a new person. So I help them figure out what person they want to be and how they're going to show up in the world. And then because in this stemmed from design work where people would come to me and just be like, I need a logo or I want a new website. And my question is always like, okay, tell me about your company. Like, who are you? What's this about? I can't just, press button, make website. I mean, I suppose you can these days, but that's not how I work. I always want to find the story and find the hook and, understand what it is that people do. Because then it becomes interesting for people looking, right? We want to engage an audience, not just talk to them or
Right.
talk at them. And that's where really branding came from. So I created a branding methodology called Brand Jitsu that I've been using and teaching for like the last 4 years, I guess, is sort of when it got formalized. And I started doing lunch and learns at ATB Entrepreneur Center. I've done some for ATBX. I just did one for Calgary Economic Development Board yesterday, and then just other companies around town that
Okay.
need this particular. They can't find their story, and no matter how hard they try. So having a framework to figure out what that is has been really important, and also helps you tell a decent story, because
Right.
that's really what it's all about.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And for example, I know even for all the projects you've kind of got going on,
Yeah.
you must have at least a half dozen websites going at a time here. And are you the guy who maintains all those?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got dropbearandpanda.tv, loosemoose.tv, like we just mentioned, michaeldargie.com, which is my personal one, makemorecreative.com. Oh, look at that. Make More Creative, which is my business one, the Rebel podcast, which is the podcast one. There's also crooklook.com, which is a thing that I spun up early in the pandemic to help mask makers connect with people who needed masks. Um,
Okay.
then there's brandjitsu.com, which I'm currently building and developing as I write the book. I've got lots. There's a lot going on. I've got a server with about 35 domain names on them that I manage. Half of which are clients, half of which are my own.
Which I find that ratio kind of staggering, to be honest. Half are mine, half are the clients.
I got stuff to do, Gary. Like,
That's yeah. So going back to my intro, when do you sleep?
well, I sleep. I sleep. Yeah, I mean, I sleep. There's
Okay.
sleeping.
All right. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it sounds more, I guess, crazier than it is. And I suppose like Jen Panda will tell you that she knows about a week ahead of the time that I hit a wall. She's like, the wall's coming. I'm like, oh, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm doing great. It's fine. She's like, no, it's almost here. And I end up, with a Wile E. Coyote shaped hole in the wall, more times than I can care to admit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mother continues to tell me that there's only 24 hours in a day and only 7 days a week. I've requisitioned the universe for more. I haven't heard back.
They're horrible at getting back. I've tried as well.
Yeah,
Just
bureaucracy, right?
that, right? Red tape,
Yeah,
or
bullshit.
just arrogance,
No,
whatever.
no,
Just ignoring us.
awesome.
Let's actually get into Rebel. Because
Oh, sure.
surprisingly enough, we're about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, time flies when you're
Um,
having fun.
it totally, absolutely. And just a reminder for the folks that are kind of watching here, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to chime in the comment section, and we'll
Anything's
say hi
welcome.
back or something.
Yeah,
Um, Rebel.
yeah,
So 4 seasons now.
yeah.
And what was when you first kind of put Rebel together? What was your drive? What was your passion to reasoning to bring this to life?
It was something that I hadn't done yet. I was curious about podcasts. I guess that's where it started first with this need to understand something. And I guess I'm a kinesthetic learner. I learn best by doing. You can't tell me what to do. I've got to actually get my hands on it and figure out how it all works. So I was curious, and I wanted to learn how to do this. And I like the idea of having a semi-regular show. I figured I didn't actually know where it was going to go. Um, I think at that time, the very first episode, I think, is myself and a guy named Sean Young, and we had just started a project called Fight Club for Entrepreneurs. And so we were doing some events at Loose Moose Theater where we get entrepreneurs to come on stage. They had 5 minutes to pitch their project, and then we had 5 minutes of the judges, sort of bashing them and beating them up a little bit on questions, and what about this, what about that. And it was a lot of fun. And so it sort of started there with Sean as the first guest. And we were talking about Fight Club, and then I connected with another friend of mine. So it was like all friends, and really, I guess when it comes down to it, everybody on the show has been a friend of mine. We're 4 seasons deep, coming into the end of the fourth season. We've had extraordinary guests. Yourself, you were just on recently. We haven't released that one yet. I think I'm just dancing around the question. I'm curious about what makes stuff work and why people do things that they do. So, itch number one was I needed to figure out what goes into a podcast. Like, how does that work? What equipment do I need? What software? What skill set is required? And then how do you make it go out to Spotify and iTunes and all the rest of it? I was just curious. And then, once I had that curiosity, I started like poking around and doing stuff. I was like, oh, well, I want to talk with my friends, these crazy rebels that have just done weird shit and continue to do it. And I want to share that with the world. I want to like bring the world into their world and be like, here's a light, shine it on them and be like, this is why they're crazy and we love them. And, Rebel seemed like, the perfect name for it, not necessarily a Bowie reference, but, it was just, it seemed to resonate with me. And then it's just sort of took off. It, had a life of its own.
Yeah, I was kind of going through some of your guest lists, and I definitely saw some familiar names on there, like Jay Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Local rap star.
J. Ross.
Yeah, J. Ross. Spencer Estabrooks, Mike Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And Andrew Fung was on just when he broke out into Kim's Convenience. Patrick Lore was on. He was like the founder of iStock Photo. There's like tons. Tony McGrath. He was my first 2-time guest as well, and he was just on. And he was the CEO of the Grand Theater downtown for a year, 2 years, maybe. Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
like lots of great people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so it is a weekly show, right?
Yeah. Yes.
As weekly as you can get it based on your schedule.
As weekly as possible. And I recently started recording the Zoom for video, and I started doing the video portion of it as well, which I find is so I managed to find some ways to scale down the production of the audio, and I put my leftover time into adding video.
Okay. Yeah. See, I was going to say fair enough, but whatever. So as weekly as you can get it, how many episodes a season? Like, are you going throughout the entire year, or do you kind of
24 to 25 episodes a season
per season?
Okay. Yeah. So we're just, again, I think we're 16 just got released, and I've got up to 21 recorded. And I'm booked for halfway into season 5 already with
nice
guests. Yeah, I just had Charlie Pacherny. I just recorded last week. That'll be really interesting. He was one of the founders of Stunts Unlimited out of LA. Alec Gillis, he's agreed to be on the show. We haven't recorded yet. He's from Studio ADI. He won oh my God, one of those amazing awards that you get for movies. An Academy Award for Starship Troopers. The name of the award just escaped me. Really, really neat guy who's done some really cool stuff. So we've got a yeah really interesting ride ahead of us.
Well, and that's the thing with your show, right? Because it's as kind of mentioned earlier, you delve into all different aspects. It's not just like right now, more or less, my show has been more focused on the film industry and
Yeah,
people within the film industry. But you're not like you're covering quite the range of people, which I think is interesting as well. And there's another gentleman, which I won't get into too much. Another local fellow who kind of does something similar.
yeah.
Um, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting his last name, but his name is also Michael. Um, Tea with Michael is the name of his show,
Oh,
and
fun.
yeah, and he does something similar to what you're doing, and I'm actually going to be having him on the show. I think in probably a couple of weeks as well.
Right on.
Um, but I like that concept of because I don't know, it seems to make sense to me because you'll draw in depending on what week you'll draw in a different collection of viewers, right?
Yeah. I
And
guess, and there's something too that I've never really thought about is I don't. I mean, I love that we have listeners and viewers and stuff like that, but I never really think about them.
fair enough, yeah,
Like I guess and I think that's maybe a failing of perhaps the show is driving towards a niche where you can have more people engaged with it. Like I'm hoping the niche is wide enough that lots of people like it, but it's never been for one particular audience.
exactly, yeah, and
Yeah.
I. No, I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest. Because I've often thought about that regarding this show is that um, yes, we'll get certain viewers that are into film and maybe
Yeah.
the person that's specifically being interviewed, but outside that, nobody has any interest, right? So it's very, like you said, niche.
Yeah.
But is that necessarily a good thing? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
Variety's good, right?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe. I'm a polymath. So I think that's a question I can't answer. I think that some people can niche down and some people can't. I think wired not to. Maybe you're wired to niche. You know?
Maybe. I don't know. I guess time will tell.
I like your show. I think it's awesome.
Oh well, thank you, and likewise. Um, just so you're aware, we did have a little comment from Mary Armstrong, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
Oh, Mary,
Yeah,
the
and she
voice
said
of
that
Tanya Manufacturing.
right? Yes. And she said that she knew you were efficient, but wow, you might have actually inspired her to get off the couch. So just thought I'd share that.
Oh, that's awesome. And Mary, you are so lovely to work with too. I gotta give you a shout out. I still watch that commercial over and over and over again, and yeah, so much fun.
Yeah, she's a lovely lady.
Yeah,
I've worked with her a couple times, but not nearly enough. So got to get on that.
yeah, total pro.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty in time here.
Yeah, ask the hard questions.
Yeah. So favorite beer,
Guinness.
Guinness. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay. Let's go favorite local beer. How about that?
Oh gosh. Well, I okay. It's not a beer, but it's a spirit.
Okay. Yeah. No, that works.
And it's actually it's not even a spirit. So Confluence Distilling here in town has got a non-alcoholic gin and tonic, which is absolutely amazing. And they're over in the Barley Belt. It's Confluence Distilling, and they're they're lovely. And yeah, non-alcoholic gin and tonic. Their alcoholic gin and tonic also top drawer. But if you want to just sit and be able to think uh, thoughts, you know, the non-alcoholic thing is it's so good. I just love it.
Awesome. So if you guys are watching, can I get some sponsorship money for that little bit right there? It's just
Make it rain.
yeah. Woo, just, woo, rubbing it all. Anyway, um,
That
we,
got weird.
we'll just end it there before it does get weird. Yeah. Um, one other question. You've done some traveling.
Yep.
Favorite place that you've been to?
Oh man, I only have to pick. I get to pick one.
Yeah, only I'm narrowing it right down to one. You just no.
Fuck.
That's it.
Oh my god, that's
Can't
so
give you a
hard.
window. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, well, okay. Just because it's the last place that we went was Maui, and it was on my bucket list to go to Hawaii, to go to the Hawaiian Islands, and I finally was able to do it. And I finally was able to go swim with turtles and sharks and scuba dive. I Maui, Maui.
Nice. And yes, and you kind of mentioned before that you actually got that opportunity to swim with the sharks.
Oh yeah,
How
so
was
good.
that?
Oh, it was amazing.
Like, were you
They're not.
actually able to like touch them? And
Well, no, no, it
like, I
wasn't.
wasn't sure if it was like nurse sharks or
Oh no, it's 7 foot white tip,
Oh wow, okay.
and there's
Yeah.
there's 6 of them. No, they're just they were hanging out and just swimming around. They're like big wet dogs. Really, they're curious and but no, I keep my hands in because I don't want to tempt them.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
And snack, snack.
yeah, snack, psych.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it was good. It was again, it was also a bucket list item. I was doing an underwater naturalist PADI certification, and I asked if we could go find some sharks, and the dive master I was with was just like, "Oh yeah, here we go." And I thought I'd be nervous, but it was the most tranquil thing. It's there. Underwater is a whole different world, obviously, but it's not what people think it is.
Yeah. See, I'm okay watching it on TV. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know about being actually under the water, but
being in it was so good, so good.
no, I think it would be a fantastic experience at least once for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't surf in Maui though. I regret that, but we just ran out of time. Couldn't do all the things. So now we
Okay.
got to go back, and I'm going to buy a condo in Maui. Is my plan.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
they should be cheap now, no? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
Or either that or twice the price. I don't know. What
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll end up in Spain. Their prices are pretty depressed right now.
True. Sad but true.
Yeah.
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 Actually, one other thing I forgot to actually plug
Oh,
before
sure.
we actually finally wrap up here was um, somebody's kitty has its own like Instagram account, and
That's true.
among other things,
Well, he's an author. Not only
he
an
is
author,
like
but he's a poet of
published
renown.
poet. Yes.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
Newton Poetry Cat is
yes.
the Instagram handle, and it's, Newton McLean, and he's a curmudgeony kind of cat, but he's got deep thoughts.
He does, and I love how stoic Newton seems like all the time.
Oh yeah,
Um, just yeah,
he's very tolerant.
he just looks wise, you know.
He really is. Yeah, especially when he sits on the couch and he cleans his toes. You can tell it's a pensive cleaning. He's thinking,
Right.
solving the riddles of the universe.
I especially love some of the photos where you can just kind of just see the eyes just staring back, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I have a new poem. Are you ready to dictate for me, human?"
Yeah. We don't know how the poetry actually ends up on Jen's computer. It's he doesn't dictate. They just appear. So we
So
think
it's
it
got like
happens late at night.
one of those translating devices or whatever, just dictating
I don't
through
know. Or like
meows.
his little toe beans. I don't know. Who's to say? Like the minds of cats. It's a mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And they're always doing stuff at night, so you never know.
Yeah.
While we're
True.
sleeping, like leprechauns. Um, on that note, thank you so much for being on the show, Michael. I appreciate you coming on, and
Oh, thanks for having me.
I found this quite an interesting and entertaining chat for sure.
Likewise.
And yeah, we'll see everybody next week. And be sure to check out all of Michael's links and all his um, websites, such as this one, rebelrebelpodcast.com.
Yeah, check that out.
There he goes, michaeldargie.com.
Subscribe to that Rebel.
Yes, definitely. And makemorecreative.com.
Yeah.
Rebel Rebel does not have a YouTube channel, or does it? I can't remember.
It does not, because I came
It's
late to the
podcast, but
came late to that game. Yeah, I think all
yeah,
my videos right now are on Vimeo, but I'm moving them slowly to YouTube, and then I'll maybe do something with that one day.
right. And they can also listen to your podcasts on like Spotify and
Yeah, there's
yeah.
Rebel Rebel, all one word.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and it's
Perfect.
got an octopus on it. You'll know.
Oh, you know what? I really should have uploaded the image, to be honest. You know what? I think I do
I should
have.
have supplied you with like actual material too. It's you're like, Dargie, send me stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. And then of course the day gets away.
Here we go. I think this will
What?
somewhat
Oh, look at that. There's,
suffice.
there's
Um,
my God, that mohawk is pretty dope.
oh, wrong one, wrong button. And let's see if we
That's
can.
my apocalypse mohawk.
Right? What happened to that? You bringing that back? Because I thought that was awesome, personally.
Yeah, it's we got hung up in um lockdown number 3, and my barber, I go to shout out to Urban Shave on 10th Street, and Fatty there is the guy that straight razors my head. And so in a show of solidarity, I've decided to wait until he's open. He just opened this week. My youngest son Kieran and I are going to go get cuts tomorrow, I think.
Nice.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
not? Right?
it was,
I honestly I don't know how you have time to do that, but
just squeezing in somehow.
just yeah. I'm surprised you don't have like an entourage of different people, hairstylists and stuff following you.
I
Just
would
do it
love
on the
that.
fly.
Oh, that'd be so good. I just need more money.
Well,
Yeah.
so the one thing I did notice on your Rebel website is you do have a donate button,
Oh, that's true.
right? So if you want to help Michael get his entourage to be able to, cut his hair on the fly and things like that,
Yeah.
be sure you go to the rebelrebel.com site and yeah, donate.
There's like a little PayPal thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can like donate $5 a month if you want, or $100 a month, $1,000,000 a month if you want, Jeff Bezos. I don't know.
It's all up to you guys. Yeah.
Make
Get
this
in
magic
there,
happen.
right? Bill Gates, get in there, man.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
got the chip. I'm doing my part.
right? I think almost 70% of us have that now, so we're good.
Yeah. Right on. Rock and roll. I could do this all night, Gary. We shouldn't shut this down. I got bottles of water.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm almost done mine. This reminds me I should take a sip, honestly.
Yeah. I'm reusing this water bottle. It's not a single use thing. World, just letting the world know.
Perfect. I'm not going to say that. So apologies, but I do recycle.
That's
It's a start, right?
Yeah. It's something. But Gary, come on. We do what we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Thanks again, man. Totally appreciate you coming on, and I had a blast for sure. And thanks for the folks that came on and said hi and all that. And yeah, we'll see you all next week, and have a great weekend. Night all.
See ya.